You're looking ready for summer.
Alrighty, it is 6 o'clock. I will call our Monday, June 17th meeting to order. Roll call. Joel?
Here?
Leah? Here. Adam?
Here.
Sarah? Here. Carly? Here. Tom?
Here.
I am here. Dr. Salerno, has our meeting been properly noticed?
Yes.
Please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would someone like to read the mission statement?
I can. The Mount Horeb Area School District, in partnership with the community, is dedicated to nurturing, educating, and challenging all students, preparing and empowering them to be productive, responsible, and self-fulfilled members of society.
Thanks, Joel. Number 2, approval of our presented and revised agenda. Would someone like to make a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Motion by Leah, second by Carly to approve our agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? 2B, approval of our June 3rd, 2024 board regular meeting minutes. Would someone like to make a motion to approve?
A motion to approve the board meeting minutes.
Second. Motion by Tom, second by Carly to approve our June 3rd, 2024 board regular meeting minutes. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Number 3, addressing the board. Dr. Salerno, school news.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for finding time to be here an hour early, as we also have, after this meeting, a board workshop. I'm pleased to tell you this very room hosted a number of students today because it was summer school, first day of summer school, and I want to thank Courtney Harlan, Jesse Met, and of course our very own Sarah Straka for a very successful launch to this year's program. Very well organized, and I think it sets the table nicely for the next several days that we have here. I also wanted to send our well wishes to our friends in Juden Lake, Ontario. You may be saying, well, what's going on there? What's going on there?
That's where the FFA kids are. So many FFA kids. It was unbelievable. So they get Saturday night, they load the vehicles. Thank goodness, because Sunday it was like downpour and then it would stop, and then downpour and it would stop when they were trying to leave. I want to say a few years ago there were like 5 kids. I don't know how many they took. I honestly lost. It was huge. It was huge amounts of children that are going. There's no cell service.
He'll be fine.
They'll be fine.
Are they going to overfish the lake? That's what I'm worried about.
There are so many rules about what they can and can't do. They can't have a fire. They can't make rock formations. Like, we had to sign this whole thing understanding all the things you're not allowed to do. Because most groups don't actually get to camp on this land. Like, we have special permission because we've been doing it for so long. But yes, I said, well, try to charge your phone and take pictures occasionally. So
We had some students who just got back from the New York trip, the music trip. Ms. Arbacher was talking about that. How was that experience?
It was great. So Lizzie's, my daughter's a freshman, and this was her first, I think this is her first time away from home that long, and she loved it. It was so jam-packed with stuff to do, and I was jealous at the amount of things they got to do and see, and especially the Broadway shows they got to see, and the landmarks they got to see, and it was just, she had a blast. And
Did I hear they made a special pit stop?
they made a special surprise pit stop at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and she was super excited about that because she loves the Beatles. So she got to see the Beatles memorabilia.
because
Yeah.
the boat didn't work.
Yeah,
They're supposed to do a boat cruise.
in Cleveland, they're supposed to do this Nautical Queen boat cruise down the Cuyahoga River. Well, they had dinner on the boat. Something was wrong with the boat, and so it didn't move. So they sat and had dinner on the boat.
And
at the
dancing.
dock. Yes.
There's
and
videos of
dancing.
lots of dancing.
Yes, so.
That's fantastic.
It was also a lot of kids.
Yeah.
A lot of kids,
Like
3 charter boat buses full of
150
kids and
kids.
chaperones, yeah.
But they had a 1-to-4 ratio.
Yes.
Chaperones to kids. And whoever organized it, they talked about that. There was a couple other scheduling snafus, Mr. Dorner and the crew that took care of it. It was amazing.
Yes.
They don't miss a beat.
Yeah.
Pardon the pun.
Yeah.
I've never seen someone so happy to greet people at 6 a.m.
Yes.
I was like, what? It is 6 a.m. How are you so cheerful at 6 a.m. on the crack of dawn?
Because he could be around it when they weren't banging a drum the whole time. So he was like, this is awesome.
This was an educational opportunity for my daughter as far as packing as well, because she had one of my biggest suitcases loaded full. I'm like, do you really need 5 pairs of shoes? Oh yes, because what if I can't decide? And we get there and she sees everybody else, like the older kids that have smaller carry-ons, and we get back and I said, so did you need all that stuff? No. I said, you know, you have to unpack all of it now, right?
Right.
I learned about overpacking.
I also wanted to share with the board that we're just getting ready to plan a number of summer community events as a school district. You may have seen an email that went out to our families this afternoon inviting them to a popsicle party the 28th, right, next Friday. And we'll do that. Aubrey's helping to put that together. Can I put you on the spot and just talk a little?
Yeah, 28 popsicles in the park. Aaron and Brian put that one together.
Forgive me.
So in between the middle school and the IC, people will be able to stop for a while, do some games, and then pick up some popsicles.
Just enjoy one another's company and be able to connect with one another and have a good time.
What time is that? That was 11:30, I think.
Yep, so right at the tail end of summer school, so folks who are leaving summer school can stop for a popsicle and some fun before, I don't know.
We're going to do something similar on the evening of Wednesday night, July the 17th, with a bit of a cookout on the back portico of the high school. All of these opportunities are really a result of the feedback we received from our families on that survey that went out post May 1st, in which people said to us, gee, sure would be nice just for everybody to kind of come together and just enjoy each other's fellowship and just connect. And so I'm really looking forward to both of these events. Thank you for helping to organize that team. And then lastly, I would be remiss if I didn't say hello and thank you to my friend and colleague, Luke Schmidt. Luke, as you may remember, is an aspiring superintendent who's interning with our team this summer, and we're just very grateful to have you here. Hope you're enjoying a little bit of summer too.
Very much so. Thanks. Good to see you.
I've got just one quick thing. Tomorrow night I'm off to the CESA 2 convention after working Whitewater. It looks like a relatively short agenda, but the speaker, other than handling the CESA business, the speaker that they're going to have is Tom McCarthy, who's the Deputy State Superintendent. I'll give an update next time.
Does anyone else have any news to share?
I have one more. Thursday night, this Thursday, from 5 to 7 at the Norse, is a share night for boys soccer. So if you don't want to cook because it's 400 degrees outside, it's opened up at the Norse.
Anyone else?
I saw the countdown and it made me nervous. That's okay. I went up real fast, Steve.
Can't wait.
I think it was the last day of school. Any citizens' comments?
I didn't see any signed up time.
All right, number 4, personnel transactions. Is there anything to highlight?
No.
Would anyone like to make a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Leah, seconded by Joel to approve our personnel transactions. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Number 5, consent agenda. Is there anything anyone would like to pull out and discuss?
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Leah, seconded by Sarah to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Number 6, discussion items. Our committee and village liaison member reports. Adam, do you have anything for education committee?
Yeah, we had a meeting back on June 3rd, 2 weeks ago. Went through a variety of topics. Talked through our usual suspects and curriculum updates. We have all the CKLA materials in hand, which is great. Spring screenings done at elementary and middle school levels. Obviously have some ongoing considerations about our French program, as you probably read about in a weekly update right now, trying to figure out what we can do for instructors, whether in person or virtual, so stay tuned. on that, pursuing all avenues. Grading and assessment updates, got an update on that again. Again, just a lot of progress being made forward. At that point, many of the committee members have met to kind of do some scenario and tabletop exercises and how this plays out. Again, figure out how this translates to final course grades. Going to continue that through the summer. I had written down here that there were 10 folks in total who were going to be the ambassadors for the program. And it was cool. We had a conversation there just about how, even though there's individual teachers assigned, the teams are working behind them on the standards as well. So there's a lot of good communication going back and forth. So it's more of a joint project, which is awesome. And we've got equity work updates. Pivoting between my notes and the very good official notes. Talking more about the intercultural development inventory, the IDI, that's a self-evaluation tool to see where you're at in terms of your cultural understanding of a bunch of different components. It's a great conversation that continues. That's gone over very well from those who have taken it so far, and we'll look to make that available to more folks as well. Let's see here. We discussed a few policies, including the one that's talking about the use of personal electronic devices. That'll be up for consideration by the full board. Talk through IB courses, which will be up for the full board this evening, and then academic standards, which is our annual exercise, just to note the source materials that we pull from. That will be coming to all of us in July for consideration. No changes to the document from last year, other than just some semantics that we had on our full report. And I think the only other thing to mention, we're not having a July Education Committee meeting. We're just going to go ahead and meet in August, kind of natural summer break, and the dates worked out pretty well in our favor that way too.
Anyone have any questions for Adam? Thank you, Adam.
Beth?
Sarah, do you have anything for the community coalition?
So we have not had a meeting yet since I've been on the community coalition. Our next meeting will be July 23rd. But I did have a personal virtual meeting with Rachel, the president and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, just so for introductions, and then we just talked a little bit about the organization, the coalition, so I could get a little bit more information on that, and just had a nice discussion, so I could be kind of acclimated before we have our first meeting.
Awesome. Anyone have any questions for Sarah? The village, I have the village report. They had a meeting on the 5th. Pertinent to the school district, they continue to have a diversity inclusion proclamation in the village vision that passed. And then the other piece that I would highlight is the Lucan Farm. They are moving up the closing September 30th or sooner. The different committees related to how that's going to be developed are starting to form. There will be an RFP for developers will be going out. And it sounds like the October 5th meeting, there's going to be a lot of discussion about the Lucan Farm. So that's all I had about related to the village.
Really quickly, President Aragoni had a wonderful suggestion about maybe trying to have a joint meeting between the village, the Board of Education, and the Chamber. And that's very timely. We're thinking about September 30th. So tentatively, if you don't mind, just maybe marking that in your calendar. It'll be a 5th Monday, and we'll probably do some supper like we did last time, and then try to tag on a board workshop afterwards. So good opportunity to talk about Lucan Farm at that point, and a number of other updates. By then, we will maybe have had a decision about the potential for a capital referendum.
January was so busy last year, so we just thought try to move it up, and this was a good time in the fall. So. Alrighty, moving on then to our guest speakers, talk about the results of the long-range community survey.
Hi team, how you doing? Good.
Doing well, how about you?
Good, good. I'm just going to turn up the volume over on this side here. If you wanted to even share your screen and all, feel free to do that. Scott Gerard and Kate Hanneman. Scott is from School Perceptions, just very familiar to this board, but for community members who might be watching, School Perceptions has helped us on a number of occasions in the past with regard to some ideas that we have been testing within the community. And then, of course, our friends from Bray Architect. Kate has been a part of most every meeting we've had, and just is a brilliant mind, and we're just grateful that she could be a part of tonight's conversation as well. Good evening to both of you.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. And Steve, it does look like I'm actually not allowed to share my screen right now. I don't have permission.
Give me 30 seconds here. I think I can figure that out. I think someone taught me how to do this last time, so I'm going to settings.
I think, click on the little people. Yeah, go to where on the right side where the little person is.
Yes.
Yes. And then click on Scott, the buttons next to Scott. Oh, no, the other ones, the three dots on the.
Okay.
And then you should make a host, add as co-host.
Let's try that out.
Yes, we are in. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we'll bring the survey result presentation up here. And is everyone seeing that?
Yep.
Yes.
All righty, we will get started. So here we are on June 17th with your community survey results. This is just a little teaser for the different kinds of information we're going to go through tonight. So anything in blue is background about us and School Perceptions, or background of what was on your survey. With yellow, we'll have survey and respondent information, and then the green is the results and the analysis, and we've got a wrap up and questions at the end. Reminder of School Perceptions, as Steve said, you all have worked with us before, but we've been doing this since 2002, and we've helped more than 900 districts navigate strategic planning, referendum planning processes. And now to the fun stuff, your survey results. So we ended up with a May 24th deadline, and in the time the survey was open, we got 1,563 respondents for a 26.6% response rate, which is extremely high. We average 15 to 17%, so that's just a really good number. Your community is engaged, heard your story, and was willing to tell you what they did with it. So that's a really strong response rate to see. Given the number of respondents, we've got about a 2.5% margin of error on the results here tonight. So a little background about those folks who responded to the survey. Here's the age breakdown. We always like to see a good proportion of 65 plus represented. They're reliable to show up at the polls in November. And so it's very important to understand what their thoughts are on your plan. And then these two groups, it's no surprise, you all have a heavy parent population out there. So those are your parents' age group. Is your primary residence in the district? 93% yes, 5% no. That's going to be perhaps open enrollers, some of your staff who may live outside the district. And we really want to know what those folks think as well. So it's important they're included on the survey. But when we're looking for the election outcome, we got to focus on this 93% because they're the ones who can vote on your referendum. There's also the 2% who are not sure. That could mean a lot of things, but we always get 1 to 2% who are not sure. In which municipality do you live? We did have representation from all of your municipalities. Majority of that from the village of Mount Horeb, and then some representation from your other communities as well. And then importantly, are you an employee of the district, and do you have children attending a school in the district? And this helps us ensure we're getting staff perspective, parent perspective, and importantly that non-parent, non-staff perspective, because they are the largest group in your community and therefore the largest part of your voting population. So really good numbers for all three groups here. You all had us ask if there was specific information folks would like to hear the district discuss at community meetings, and so we've got it broken down with parents and non-parents, non-staff here. And what I'm going to do, this is a lot of percentages and bars, and so on the next slide what we did is we actually broke down the top items in those two subgroups and highlighted things that were across both groups in the top 5, and as you can see, there's a lot of consistency here. So district goals and plans, district comparisons, safety and security, and student mental health are both in the top 5 for both of those groups. Your parents also want to hear about facility improvement plans, and your non-parents, non-staff also want to hear about school finance and budgets. We also asked what days are the best time for these community meetings. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, pretty much even among these groups. Surprisingly, Friday, the lowest for both. So, do what you will with that information. And now we get on to the proposed plan. So a little reminder about what it is the district presented to the community about what you're planning to do. A bunch of the projects at the primary center, and then some mention of some of the other scope at other buildings. And here now we're going to break it down into those subgroups I mentioned earlier. So first we've got staff, and these are staff residents, so those folks who will be able to vote in November. 71% support from your staff resident group. Move on to parent residents, and that actually goes up slightly to 73% support for your parent residents. And one thing I want to point out on these two slides, your undecideds, I would say in a lot of surveys right now, we're seeing those in the high teens. And so with 12% here, 8% for your parents, folks understand your plans, they understand your need, and they've made a decision on how they feel about it. And I think that's really good to see that they felt they had enough information to share their thoughts with you. And finally, the largest group, the non-parent, non-staff residents. As you can see, we've got 46% support and 41% opposition. Again, a low number of undecided relatively. So what we do then is we take those groups and we actually weight their support to predict the November election outcome. In Mount Horeb, we give about 30% weight to the parent group, about 70% non-parents, non-staff. Those staff are hugely important as far as they're influential. It's important to understand where they're at, but they're also a very, very small proportion of your voting population. And so as far as making a prediction for November, they're not included in this formula. But what we come out with is 0.3 times 73% of that parent support, plus 0.7 times 46% non-parent, non-staff support, gets us to 54.1%, which is outside that 2.5% margin of error on the right side of 50 for your plan. And that's what we've got tonight. So I'd be happy to take questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Scott?
I had one question. I think this is probably more on Dr. Slinger knows. I was trying to remember if the $34 million, did we build geothermal into that?
Yes.
That was the accounting, right?
Yes.
Okay.
For those who may not remember, currently the primary center does have the geothermal borings, and it was the thought that maybe we would expand that in the event that we did add on to the primary center with the EPC.
How is this survey compared to other surveys we've done in the past where we've had successful referendums in terms of the outcome of the survey?
Very insightful question. Yes, that's one of the reasons why we enjoy working with school perception so well, is they have a good barometer on what's above the line and below the line. You may recall that the board authorized a survey probably now about 18 months ago in which a larger package was proposed, and at that time the feedback was it just didn't seem like it was ready for prime time, so to speak, for the public. And as a result, the community came back together again and began to identify, all right, how do we funnel this down into a package that's maybe a little more palatable to the community? And school perceptions has their finger on the pulse of this.
I want to say last time we were at like 40, high 40-some%, but not quite at that 50 for a comfort level that it would match.
I don't know if I have the numbers exactly right. My recollection is that the operating referendum survey was about this, maybe 55, 56. and passed with a slightly higher percent, I believe, than that.
Similarly with the 2017 capital referendum, we were hovering in that area, and so we really tried to focus our work around the undecideds.
And the margin of error, is that a historical calculation, or without divulging company secrets, how are we arriving at that?
No, that's completely just based on the number of respondents you have.
Got it.
And so with the number of respondents, so some districts that are smaller in the state will end up with a 5 or 6% margin of error simply because they have a small population. Really large districts can get closer to maybe 1.5%, 2%. But just a function of how many respondents you have.
Okay.
Scott, you said something that I picked up on in our conversations leading up to tonight, and it had to do with what other school districts are seeing at this time. Without, of course, divulging specific information, might you be able to provide some context for the board, please?
Absolutely. I would say the vast majority of reports I've been working on this spring, and we've had a record number of surveys, so there's a lot of districts considering going out this fall, and a lot of them are falling, I would say, slightly below 50% and within the margin of error. So sort of right on that bubble, having to make a lot of tough decisions about what that means their community might or might not support. So 54% being outside the margin of error is a pretty solid result compared to what a lot of what we've been seeing this spring.
Our response rate was 26.6%. What has it been in past surveys that we've put out in the district?
Yeah, I actually think you've had a little higher. It's been between 25 and 30%, I believe, on a lot of your surveys. I'd have to double check the exact numbers. But Mount Horeb is just a really engaged community, so you folks get a lot of responses. But again, I would say compared to other communities we survey, 26.6% is an outstanding response rate.
Board members, I'd like to introduce and welcome you to a familiar face. Mr. Matt Wolfert from Bray Architects is also on the call here now. Good evening, man.
I wonder if he can't hear us. Okay. Oh, no, there he is. Does anyone have any other questions or comments? Otherwise, I guess my question would be, let's talk about next steps.
The only comment I had is I went and read through all the comments, and there's a ton of comments given in there, and I think if everyone hasn't taken a look at them yet, it's a good idea to go read them, because I think you're going to find some good themes of things that may help us with some of the undecided percentage should we decide to move forward. So lots of questions about changes in enrollment, about school finance, about facility planning, a lot of good themes in there for us to consider as we build materials.
Agree. I've been reading through them as well and marking them positive, negatives, and a question that we could try to address.
Will definitely help us in our messaging. Yes. I'd be happy to speak to maybe some potential next steps. With the board's permission, we'd like the board to please consider this data in arriving at a potential question before the community at the July 15th Board of Education meeting. The rationale for that is that we are required to have, if we're going to have a question before the voters in November, to have that buttoned up. I want to say August 26th, 27th, somewhere in that time frame. And this would allow us the opportunity to work with bond counsel to develop and formulate a question that reflects not only the ELC portion of this request, but you may remember there's some ancillary projects, capital projects that would be included, chief among them here at the middle school. And so would look to see if the board could please consider putting this on their July 15th agenda. And then this would also then, I think, position us well for our community conversation around our annual meeting, which takes place just a few short weeks later. At that meeting, we would likely, depending upon the board's decision, develop a couple of scenarios for the community's input in terms of a levy. certainly, if as we get closer to this, if you have questions, I'm always happy to help you. I know any member of the senior leadership team, Scott included, would be happy to be of service.
My thought is solely around if our measure passes on the 15th, then, developing a communication plan and a strategic plan to educate the community. And that would be my next question.
Absolutely. Rest assured, we would have a comprehensive communication plan, partnering with our friends at Bray. Matt and Kate, you guys have been instrumental in helping us with that communication, not only up to the referendum, but in the event that we're fortunate to pass a potential referendum, keeping the community apprised of the program's developments. Matt, would you care to speak to that at all? Or?
Sure, absolutely. Can you hear me?
Yep. Sure can.
Hey, good. I was at small, which is great. Good to see everybody. We have a team, not including myself, Brian Cage, and then we've got a team of communication specialists and graphic designers who help our clients through the information campaign process. And so we will get them up to speed on where we're at. It's great if, as a board, you adopt sooner than waiting until August. So at Steve's point, you can push to August if something were to happen in July that you didn't want to proceed. But that mid-July target is great because it really allows us to get ahead of the game and actually have materials available for back-to-school events in late August and early September and other critical times where if we wait all the way to a deadline, we often miss the opportunity to use those for engagement. So not trying to push the board, but just nudging that if the sooner you get things done, the higher likelihood we're going to be able to get the print pieces and handouts and social media, all of that started in August versus that starting to hit in September, which would definitely be, I think, advantageous to you and to your community members.
Thank you, Matt. Does anyone have any questions for Matt?
Would it be beneficial to move this up to the first meeting in July?
I don't know that we're going to have an opportunity to connect with bond counsel ahead of that, but that's very thoughtful of you. Thank you for considering it.
This is getting way out in front of things, but just because I haven't had a chance to go through the whole process before, can you speak a little to what happens in terms of the timing of if that referendum would go on the ballot, if the referendum is successful, the process after that?
Yeah.
And while we have Bray here as well.
Thank you. I think a lot of that is in flux. However, I would suggest to you that if we were fortunate to put something on the ballot and if that were to pass, we would view this in staging efforts. In essence, likely 2024-25, this school year, we'd be able to kind of put together a team of folks who can help us flesh out some of the designs, particularly our staff, as to what would go inside each building. And then even into 25-26, I would suggest that the ELC would still be used. So that way, the playground space where the proposed new site would be, that could be constructed without having to displace children and having to worry about portable units and all those kinds of things.
No portables. No.
Amen, friend.
Veto 100 times.
Amen. And then
Our kids had several experiences in the portables.
those are troopers. Those kids were troopers. That staff was really amazing too. So I would foresee by the time we actually begin the construction in earnest, it would be about 18 to 24 months before we would take up residence in that new space, and then we'd look at the demolition of the current early learning center.
Got it. Thanks.
Yeah, great question. Matt, would you add anything? Kate, would you add anything to that?
No, I think you're right on track, Steve. It should be just as you presenting, gave me time to think a little bit more about it. I hadn't given it a whole lot of thought yet. It's probably about 30 to 36 months from active referendum until occupancy. We probably won't start bringing some for later by the time we borrow the money and design and engineer the building and get all the approvals. So bidding late in 2025 allows construction to start in early 2026. So theoretically, roughly finishing summer of 2027, somewhere in that ballpark. We will firm that up as we go into the communication campaign. The big picture of that 30 to 36 months is a good barometer for this scale project.
That might beg the question about our school calendars, and I know the board is aware of this, but it might be helpful for anybody watching. We have not created a calendar yet for the 25-26 school year because we want to take advantage of any flexibility there might be in the state's allowance for us as we're beginning to build what that could look like and maximize summer building season if we're fortunate enough to be in that position. Look for something likely on calendars in November-ish, December-ish.
Yeah, Steve, feel free to connect next time we talk about that a little too, because maybe we structure this that we get the addition done a year later, spring of 2026 or something like that. We could move some students in from the current building into that addition and not have to affect the summer potentially. So let's come up with some brainstorming around that, just to see if you have to kind of vary, I guess, from your traditional calendar, or whether because of this type of project, very different than the high school, where we absolutely had to vary the summer schedule. There maybe is a chance here that if you and the board want to keep your traditional calendar, we can accommodate that.
Thank you so much, man.
I had one more question on the survey results. Maybe if we could go back to that. Is there any thought to weighting anything that we need to be thinking about given the type of election that we're considering putting this on the ballot in? A presidential election that's pretty highly charged, all of those kinds of things. Does that play into these results anywhere, or is it even appropriate to think about that?
You know, it's a really good question, one we've been getting a lot. We don't factor that into our weighting, but what I can say is that historically, higher turnout elections in Wisconsin lead to a higher likelihood of school referendums being approved. And so that, I think, is just something to keep in the back of your head as you're considering these results. It's very interesting in Minnesota, just our neighbors, it's actually the opposite. Higher turnout means less likely that school referendums pass. Don't know why. Our research director, Dr. Rob's getting on that. I'll put him to work to get you an answer. But yeah, so you don't weight it. We feel confident with how our weighting is without that factored in. But I think it's a good thing to keep in the back of your head that those higher turnout elections tend to be more friendly to referendum outcomes.
I think as an elected official too, you have the ability to say, we didn't wait till April to try to sneak something through, right? We're putting this out there and we're going to get the truest representation from our community. Both perspectives of the political aisle are going to turn out strongly. So again, not advocating for November versus April, but I do think there's an advantage in messaging the November that you truly are letting the most people participate in making this decision.
Any other thoughts, questions, concerns? Otherwise, we'll talk about it again on the 15th.
So good to see you all this evening. Thank you so much for coming out tonight, and I know you all have a couple of other meetings to attend to, so you just take good care of yourselves, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye now.
Thank you both.
Alrighty, number 7, our action items. Scott, you're up first. Approval of the 23-24 budget revisions.
Hi, everybody. So last Monday at our Finance Committee meeting, thanks to you that were there, we were able to have pretty significant conversation on what these revisions are about. Just as a real brief reminder, typically we do 3 budget revisions during the year. One, of course, absolutely required in October because that's when we officially determine what our tax levy will be for the year. We typically have one late winter, early spring, and oddly enough, toward the end of the fiscal year. I had mentioned at the finance meeting that our auditors are actually appreciative that you're willing to have the conversation on making some revisions prior to the end of the year. It also helps when it comes time to doing some financial reporting that last minute details that we find out as we navigate through the spring, we're able to update in our budget. A lot of the revisions that we're looking to make now are reflections on state and federal funding, and you might say, well, gee, you know, it takes into the spring sometimes to find some of this data out, and actually the answer is yes. But if you're thinking that seems strange, I'm right with you, because it would be fantastic on July 1 if we knew exactly how things looked for the year, but it's just not practical. So we have revisions in 4 different categories. Our accounting system, as a reminder, is based on different funds, they call them. So the first table at the top is our general fund. That's the vast majority of our financial transactions take place in the general fund, both revenues and expenditures. Just real quick, the second table is special education fund. That goes without saying, the special education program. The next one is our debt service fund. That's where we make principal and interest payments on our debt. And then the last one, not my terms, but DPI's terms, other package and cooperative program fund. That's basically a vocational grant that we share with Wisconsin Heights. So real quick, just at the top here, I promise I won't get into the level of detail that we talked about in finance, but I will say on the revenue side of the house, in addition to state and federal funding, modifications that we need to make, we also are seeing some adjustments to our open enrollment in terms of what it means for dollars. And so for open enrollment, you may recall we have open enrollment students coming into our district. That's revenue for a district. We also have open enrollment students leaving our district. That's an expenditure for the district. For Mount Horeb, historically, we've been about 2 to 1, which is amazing, meaning we have, for every 2 students we have coming in, we have 1 going out. As we get through the spring, we are able to finalize our open enrollment numbers for the year. The vast majority of our students, if they're coming in, they come in on day 1 and they're with us throughout the year. However, we do have a few modifications every year of kids, both ins and outs being adjusted. So this is reflecting not only those adjustments, but also what the official amount is that we're getting in open enrollment. We're getting about, sort of big picture here, we're getting about 1.2 million on open enrollment in, and we're seeing about 600,000 in expenditure going out. So that's how we see that 2 to 1 for ins versus outs. The modifications for state and federal funding, many times they have to do with grants. So when we see modifications made in revenues for grants, we need to make modifications on the expenditure side as well. This also shows a continued balanced budget for the year, not seeing a modification in fund balance. We talked a little bit about the need to see some increases in fund balance, just in general, for any public school district. If we stay to status quo in the dollars for fund balance, and our budget continues to go up every year, which typically for school districts they do, fund balance is a percentage of expenditures. Again, that percentage of that math, the percentage will go down, and over time, a district can have issues with cash flow. In other words, having enough cash to pay our bills. So that's one thing that it's going to be important for us to be sensitive to, keeping fund balance up as expenditures continue to go up. And just keep in mind, fund balance is not a savings account, because that would be pretty amazing if it was, but it's not. Special education has no fund balance. In summary, special education services that public schools provide kids do not see enough funding coming in from the state and federal governments to support those expenses. And so by design, our accounting system is built to have a transfer at the end of the year from our general fund to our special education fund to make things whole. And that's why the sensitivity that seems to always be wrapped into the biennium budgets every 2 years at the state level regarding special education funding and trying to get that reimbursement percent increased. That's why this is so important, because it would not only provide more opportunities for financing for special ed, but it also would relieve that money that we have to transfer from our general fund, which is significant. Special education adjustments have to do with both state and federal funding. And then by need of increasing some of our support services on the expenditure side of the house, it increases our operating transfer from the general fund to special education again to make things whole at the end of the year. The debt service fund, you'll see a modification of 1.47 million. This is the third year that the district made a commitment to modifying its debt service tax levy to be able to pay off additional principal payments to save on interest costs for the community. We decided through the course of the spring, when we had our two referendum sort of facility community nights, where we felt that it would be important to consider applying that additional Fund 39 levy toward interest this coming fall or winter, being that we might get an opportunity to be able to apply more prepayment of debt toward higher interest debt, and that would save overall interest savings for the community. So it's a long way of saying we're going to apply it toward fund balance for the end of the year and then have that money available if we can in fact pay off higher interest debt to save even more in interest costs. So that's just a reflection that we're not going to take on that expenditure by June 30th. It'll be for next year. And then that last one that has to do with the vocational grant with Wisconsin Heights. This budget reflects the actual expenditures that Heights had for that vocational grant. And what it means for us being the fiscal agent is we receive the dollars from the federal government, and then upon Wisconsin Heights reporting their fiscal data to us, we then say, yes, this satisfies what you plan to spend the money on, and then we send the money off to Wisconsin Heights and keeps our portion. So this reflects that grant modification for that program. That was, thank you for, number one, allowing me to talk so quickly. I was trying to be efficient with time. Again, thank you for the Finance Committee members for being into it and having some good conversation. And I have the word draft at the bottom simply because this format is the format that's required by DPI to put into the newspaper for publication if a board approves any revisions, and so I put a draft on there. Not that because the numbers are draft, but just because I didn't want you to think, wait a minute, at the top it says the board approved it on June 17th, and obviously you haven't done that yet, so that's the purpose of the word draft.
Anyone have any questions for Scott? Would anyone like to make a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Adam, seconded by Leah to approve the 23-24 budget revisions. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you, Scott.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Dr. Salerno, a few purchases.
Yes, and this is the result of the good work of Will Brueggemann. Will is our technology coordinator. As we do about this time every year, we begin to think about budgeted technology considerations. As part of our technology replacement plan, items B, C, and D were already pre-budgeted. Mr. Brueggemann has gone out to receive proposals. B has to do with television screens in our ELC PC, which are up for replacement, and then staff members' CPUs, central processing units, and the accompanying monitors that you'll see under letter C. And then letter D has to do with Surface tablets. This is a way in which we moved as a school district. You may remember having approved these at the high school, whereby teachers can take from their Surface tablet and have it mirror or project onto the television screen, and students can hold on to that and work out math problems or edit conventions on a Word document for staff. It's a pretty slick opportunity, and so we're asking for the board's consideration on each of them. If you don't mind, if we could just maybe take it one by one. Item B, and you can see the quotes that we received on that hardware.
Before we approve it, do a quick question. So it's the same 3 companies for all of them, and 2 we're buying from one and 1 we're buying from the, would they not give us a bulk rate if we got all of them?
We discussed this at the
Same
finance
question.
Great
committee.
observation.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was also shared with us, and I don't know if it was you or Scott said this, that once they're ours, and they don't provide any additional support, or so it doesn't really even matter if we buy them all from one company. It doesn't help us.
No, but like bulk discounts, man.
None of those things seem to apply.
The Surface tablets are so small.
There's no bulk.
There's no bulk.
There's no bulk. It's not. Okay.
We did ask, and unfortunately, there's, thanks for catching it.
Does anyone else have any questions?
So are some of these items replacements, or some of them are just a first-time purchase?
Thank you for asking. I should have been clearer about this. We have what's called a technology replacement plan. And what we do with that plan is we identify, after about 6-7 years, we try to refresh. We take the old items off the teacher's area and we replace it with the new. And what we've been doing now is we've been taking those items and we've been putting them out to sale for families who might want to purchase something, maybe an extra tablet or something at their home for the holidays. We typically do it November and December. The dollars received from that go to help offset the cost of this. Otherwise, I think we probably get like $1, $2 or something like that on cost more recycled things than they're probably worth. So we try to generate some additional revenue.
Any other questions? Would anyone like to make a motion to approve our first one, the ViewSonic interactive display?
So moved.
Second. Motion by Leah, seconded by Carly to approve the budgeted technology purchase of ViewSonic interactive displays. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, would anyone like to make a motion for the computer systems?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Leah, seconded by Tom. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the purchase of the computer systems, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And the Surface tablets. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve?
Motion to approve Magical Surface tablets.
Second.
Motion by Joel, seconded by Leah to approve the Magical Surface tablets. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, all 3 pass.
Thank you so much.
Sarah, our 3 IB courses. You can bring your blanket up. Although I'm so warm, I can't keep it on. I think the air conditioning turned off.
As our Board of Education knows, and our community knows that Mount Horeb is moving forward with International Baccalaureate Program, an IB program. And through that work, we are bringing new courses to Mount Horeb High School. And we're getting to the point where we are deciding upon the courses in order to provide information and market those to students in the fall already. And with our typical course approval process, we look at courses in the spring in order then to go into the course handbooks in the fall. So before us, we have, I believe, 3 IB courses. And the first one here is the IB Business Management class. We have a similar business management class that hasn't really had a lot of traction and interest from kids. So this course would eventually be replacing that course. I'm trying to think if there's any other information here to provide you. So again, this would be a new course. And it would be more of a general course for students who are interested in business management.
And it is open to all kids.
All these courses are open to all kids. Students who decide to complete their IB CP diploma would have to take certain courses. But all courses we'll talk about tonight are open to all kids and good for all kids. And Dr. Schiller will show you the unit breakdown and you can see each units.
I have a question. What does HL only mean?
Yeah. HL stands for higher level, and then there's the SL standard level. So the higher level courses are over 2 years. This would be actually a SL course, so it'd just be a 1-year course.
So would they not have any of those HL things in the course outline? Or
Correct.
is there going to be like a level 2 of the class?
No, so if this was an HL class, and maybe in the future it could be, right now it's an SL class, those are the components that would be in it.
International Baccalaureate requires that a certain number of your offerings be higher level classes. And so as this is one of the strands, pathways, if you will, for our IB students, we thought that we would start slow and get our walking legs on this.
There's just a lot of good stuff in it.
Isn't it great?
The next course that the board will consider would be an HL course, and we can talk about that piece when we get there.
One question I forgot to ask, and I just want to make sure, we're not having to hire any or go outside for any additional expertise on these 3 courses, right?
These are our courses. Our staff have either completed or will still have training this summer.
What is nice though, Joel, is it allows us to partner with area businesses to provide our students opportunities to practice these skills. Yep. That's exciting.
So, I'm sorry, maybe this is another aspect of Joel's same question, but can you just talk for a minute about how it's developed? Like, is it Ms. Faber that is coming up with the materials that outline the curriculum, picking textbooks, all of that stuff to actually put it together?
So IB provides us the framework, as we can see here.
Okay.
And then she or whoever teaches the courses attends the IB training to get more background on these areas, these topics. And then the teachers can make it their own, find resources in those pieces as well. But the general outline of what needs to be covered there as well. IB is a way of thinking, right? It's not like AP where you have to have this. So IB really opens the door for staff to dig deeper into things. That inquiry lens is really important. The civic engagement piece is really important. So there is that, I don't call it creativity, but that teacher thing, right? That people are going to school for in order to provide these courses.
Sarah, you might have just answered this question, but you mentioned how the current business management class has not had a ton of traction. What's the differentiator, do you think, with this one that will bring kids in?
The IB program is an exciting piece for us, and as Steve mentioned, the piece about partnering with a local business and having this course certified and having that partnership is going to be an important piece for us. So I think it's going to breathe new life into that course. We have an amazing business program, many kids in marketing, many kids in DECA, and having this business management course refreshed, I think will be a nice addition to the marketing business team.
I might also add that nice reflection, 2 additional items. First, there's a certification, if you will, or there's a credentialing on the transcript that adds value to, even greater value to this. Yeah. But then these were pathways the students themselves selected. Okay. And so there's ownership on them. We asked them, hey, if we were to explore this, what would you like this to look like? And they said, well, gosh, we'd really like to do business marketing. Okay, well then let's make it happen. As opposed to us telling them how. So I think it's really going to lead to a greater interest level.
This is, as Leah was pointing out, there's some really meaty topics on here. I think it's great. Hopefully kids will latch on to that and really embrace that challenge.
I may have missed it, but the previous course that you spoke of, is that going to be terminated immediately, or is that what we?
I believe if you scroll up ever so on the first page,
It evolved.
number 7, looking at that deleted or revised course. So yes, that would come to, we don't want to delete a course before this course is approved,
Right.
so that would come.
So it comes
forward.
forward.
Yeah.
Motion to approve. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, one last question.
I revoke.
Don't do that. Well, assuming there's obviously there's a lot of additional planning and all that kind of stuff, but there'd be a second thing. You talk about partnerships with businesses and things like that. We just went through the volunteer policy a few weeks ago, all those kinds of things. I'm assuming that that's a big part of the next scope on this.
Absolutely.
Or a big part of the next step on this.
What's great about it, I'm sorry, is that Jody's already built a lot of these relationships through YA, and so it's just going to be a natural fit for us to continue that, yeah. Were you going to say something?
I would like to make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Motion by
There's more
Leah,
discussion, go ahead.
seconded by Sarah to approve the IB Business Management course. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I'll pull a Joel and have more discussion.
I like it.
No, this is a blanket question for all of these courses. Just wondering how much, because there's a lot of work that goes into this, and you want to see how it's going to respond. How much of the planning on this and the development will be evolutionary, iterative, once it's in, once you're getting feedback from the students, versus how much do you feel it'll be baked? I'm asking that as a two-part of like the feedback that you'll get, but then also this is a lot of stuff to get ready for day one, and just wondering where you feel confidence level in that, and there's nice to have a little bit of breathing room of having this be an evolutionary process.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate with being able to have Craig Smith, our IB coordinator, be put in place early on in this process versus Craig starting September 1. He started months ago. Lisa Corcoran and our team have been working on this for a while now. We attended the IB World Symposium back last summer. So we have a year in of thinking through all these scenarios and thinking through the coursework and what works best for Mount Horeb and current Mount Horeb areas we want to celebrate. YA, business partnerships. That's why we picked the CP program, because we knew we have strengths in these areas. So we are on a good track. Yes, it's work. Yes, time will have to be put in. That's why our team went all over the nation to go to the IB trainings to get set. They'll have curriculum hour times this summer. They'll have time to plan throughout the school year and next summer before they roll out next fall. So we're in a good spot. Did I answer the two layers?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're especially appreciative of the board allowing us to go slow to go fast. We purposely set this along as a fall 2025 for that very reason, so I'm grateful. I think it's going to be a little bit of both. It's going to be student feedback as well as what we learn from other schools. And we can't sell our dear Sarah Straka short on that too, because she's been an amazing part of that
Lisa
success.
Corcoran and Craig Smith.
Good team effort.
Have been great, leading the charge. So I heard some motions.
Right, any other discussion? Otherwise, Leah made a motion, Sarah seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Sarah, our next one, IB Sports, Exercise, and Health Sciences.
Yeah, so this course, it will be taught as that HL, that higher level course over 2 years, where we have year one, Tom Lazar would be teaching year one, and then year two would be taught by Amy Felsen. Both are being trained. This course is not replacing a course, but is a newer course. And the reason for this is really thinking about the needs and the boom in health sciences in general. Looking at potential partnerships with local providers is also enticing and neat for us. And this was a class, as Dr. Salerno mentioned, when the student survey went out, this was a class that rose to the top very quickly with students. We think about sports medicine, we think about exercise, PT, OT, we think about health sciences. It really encapsulates a lot of career interests that our kids could have. And it'll push us to think about more of our sequencing our courses, using our facilities in neat ways. So we're really excited about this course.
Tip of the hat to Aubrey Hanks. Aubrey, when she saw this class being proposed, she immediately reached out to a partner already in our community. Can I ask if Aubrey would please be willing just to talk about that partnership that's been forged?
So it was Upland Hills Health. They're phenomenal. We were already meeting with them about another partnership that we had in our mind. And Steve, you were also there and you did a phenomenal job of talking talking about the IB program and how we could dovetail our partnerships together. So they were really looking for, in addition to the partnership that we were working on, a way to reach out to the students as well, like one-on-one. And so Steve kind of brought up IB program, and so we've been working with Craig Smith. He's been fantastic, and to Lisa, just to hit the ground running with Upland Hills Health in that partnership for the IB program.
Even mentorships with physicians and the like in nursing. It's really, they said whatever you need we'll do. And so I'm really excited about what this is going to portend for our young people.
We've seen an uptick on one of the information advocacy reports when we look at post-secondary pieces and certifications. We've seen an uptick with CNA. So there's lots of different local data sources that we can pull to show why this course is a new course for us.
My daughter's going to be very excited about this. Sports medicine is where she's headed. At least that's where she thinks now.
Well, I was going to ask, it's for 11 and 12, but this is a higher level 2-year assessment commitment. So is this only going to be open to juniors that first year, or will we open it to see just juniors?
It's 2
Because
years.
it needs the 2 years, okay.
Yeah. So the coming sophomore class would be the first class.
My daughter will be upset. No.
We can always go back.
You go over that. Pretty sure her mom and I wouldn't be opposed. Have her one more year at home.
So I read the, for Corner Kicks Club, the scholarship letters, and we had 20-some people apply, and a third or half of them are going into something related to this. So this is awesome to see.
Should be exciting.
What are we limited to how many students can participate in these classes? Is there a limit? Or I'm guessing this one's going to be very, very popular.
Yeah, good question. We will be looking at students who are interested in the whole pathway, like going through that and getting the IB diploma piece of it. We also know from our visits to Oconomowoc and other schools, the IB programs do start smaller and word gets out. And we'll also be looking at what the students maybe want to major in and those pieces as well. Other pieces that you can think of?
Yeah, I think you're right. We're probably looking at starting 10 to 12 students in the IB career planning program. And then the balance being probably another 12 to 13 students who would not be part of the IB, but might just take it as an SL.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Leah, second by Adam, to approve the IB Sports Exercise and Health Sciences course. Any further discussion?
Not this time.
That's why I asked first time.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, Sarah, our last one, IB Personal and Professional Skills.
Well, you all are so excited. The first two, I'm most excited about this one, I think. This is a class, obviously the name is Personal and Professional Skills, and that's what this class is about. Really supporting students on that personal development, effective communication, applying ethics, all those pieces that they can use in any occupation, with any person, with any perspective, and that's so needed in our society now. This is a class that we think will be popular, and we'll probably maybe hopefully run many sections, and thinking about that FTE piece, we have pieces in place and in mind already. I'm trying to think if there's anything else besides what you see in the new course outline there, but.
Sarah, can you talk about how this course dovetails beautifully with our graduation readiness efforts and what the community told us in the strategic plan work?
Yeah, and even the board goals that we just approved. Even the board goals.
She's got stuff to say.
Sarah Robb.
That we just approved, the board just approved the last meeting or 2 meetings ago. And thinking about those career-ready pieces, graduation, attendance, civic engagement, civic duty, volunteering.
Word salad. The word salad.
The word salad. Yeah, that was a poster of a word salad. All those pieces are there. When we talk with our community members, business members, those interpersonal skills pop up over and over and over and over. So we're very excited to have those pieces and having all students, any students really latch onto this course. It also works when we see that intercultural understanding, 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3, really thinking about our current work within our school district the past several years, 4 or 5 years. That really works well with the work and efforts there as well. And the board's messaging around intercultural diversity, equity, and inclusion.
What are the chances of making this a graduation requirement?
I was the exact same thing.
I guess to that point, I'm looking at 11 and 12, that's great, but we've got kids entering the workforce as early as freshmen and sophomores. So should we be allowing freshmen and sophomore to consider this class?
Typically with the IB courses, they are upper juniors and seniors. Yeah, they are junior and senior courses. That's when you take them for the IB program. Not that 14, 15-year-olds can't get to the in-depthness, right, of these courses, but these are college level courses. And the maturity, development, readiness may be different for all kids, but IB really has decided juniors and seniors might be best for these types of courses.
Okay.
They'll get there, they can take junior year or senior year, right? There's that flexibility, it's not just a senior year course.
I just think of all these courses, and then some are 2 years, like they're gonna get very limited very quickly on music and art and some of those electives where they're gonna have to start.
That's why we're starting small with the number of courses we have. We're trying to be thoughtful in that way. We really want to make IB work in our current structure, and we feel like we've found ways to make that work within our current structure and our current coursework.
I'm just going to tell you, every time we review this course, I'm going to ask that same question.
It's okay.
So, because I think this should be started in 3rd grade. So,
it is, it's just
I know,
this
it's very
course.
different.
Yeah, it's just not packed in, concentrated course.
This is definitely exciting to see that. I mean, I have staff that could probably utilize this.
I'm glad you all share my excitement.
Sarah, in that respect, just in thinking of timing on this and everything, and their job experience that students might want to do in junior and senior year, what will and won't be compatible, do you think, with taking like a heavy load of IB? It's hard to figure out yet.
I don't know if I can crystal ball that.
Okay.
Kids know what they can and can't do. Kids know, that's why we create a 4-year plan, right? And that's why we want to get information out to students on YA, on IB, on AP, on all these experiences that we have for kids. Craig Smith and I were chatting back and forth last week about the Education for Employment Plan, which you all will get in a month or so. And he and I are going to be working on how do we better market the Education for Employment Plan and connect all the dots into one spot for families, businesses, you all, so we can see these pieces for the 4-year plan and for envisioning what kids want by the time they're juniors and seniors, so they aren't left with, oh man, I can't fit that in, or I didn't know. We want to help as many students not have that as possible.
So I know we've talked about this, but do we have an idea of how many kids actually followed their 4-year plan? Because I've had 2 go through and neither one followed the 4-year plan.
At our last Education for Employment meeting in the spring, that topic did come up. Chris Sandwire at the middle school, our school counselor, sits down now with individually every student and goes through their 4-year plan and really walks through it. And we don't want it to be put on a shelf freshman year. We want that to be pulled out. So that's something that our high school counselors have shared a commitment to working on and doing better this year and in future years of pulling out that 4-year plan and somehow having it on Infinite Campus or Zello or somewhere electronically that kids and families can access more.
Because I think that's part of it too. They're like, okay, sign up for your classes. And you're like, did we do this? And we sat down and came up with a plan. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, it's nice to refer back to it. But we know so much can change, right? And what kids like, weekly, monthly, yearly,
minutely.
Because they learn more, they mature.
Seems to me that would be something we want them to revisit every year, but we just don't at this point. it's on paper essentially, I know, because
It's not-
I
it's not
remember
as-
signing it.
It's not as systematic as we
Okay.
hope, yeah.
Okay.
But that's a goal for, you'll see in the education from plan to plan, we have some goals now moving forward.
Okay.
Any other questions about the personal and professional skills course?
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion by Leah, second by Carly. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving personal and professional skills, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Thank you all,
Sarah?
appreciate your time.
Thanks, Sarah. Thank you.
Number 8, citizen comments.
Can't see anybody else here.
I don't think so. Okay. Future agenda items, if there's anything that you would like to discuss, please let Dr. Sarno or myself know.
Real quick, our July 1 meeting is moved up to 6, right?
Yes. Schedule of, yep, it even says here. Board of
It does, I
Education
just wanted to
July 1,
make sure that I
6
have
p.m.
all my ducks in a row, or you guys will call me and go, where are you?
Any other meetings to note?
Might you just allow me quickly to reference letter E? Our finance committee meeting will not be the second Monday of the month. As you might remember, we have our audit that occurs, and we'll be hosting that on the 23rd, which is a Tuesday, same time virtually.
Would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay.
Motion by Sarah, seconded by Leah to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
It is 7:15. How about 5 minutes, and then we'll come back together to start our workshop.
Okay, and we do have a meeting on the 5th, right? Because it says Education Committee meeting, and then it says Board of Education Committee meeting. I just want to make sure.
Wait, the 5th
It's
is,
just supposed to be fall, right?
That's what I assumed.
5th of August, 1st.
No, G.
August.
G.
Oh, but
August 5th.
Thank you for catching that. Yeah, that should be a full.
I just have to go check, because I try to put them all in as soon as you tell me something moved, but I always check it.
Sorry about
because
that.
I always miss one.
Yes, we'll get that changed for the next meeting, yes.
See, I had a workshop in here we aren't even having, so this is why I have to go.
September.